Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I am about to kick off one of our ward community walks, and we are going to be walking around the NOMA community. Before we get started, however, I asked the Chief of Police to join me for a press update on a very unfortunate event that occurred here last night, where we're standing in the 1200 block of North Capitol Street. And we want to provide this briefing and ask for the community's support and help in solving a homicide that happened here at 3 p.m. 22-year-old Devane Williams was shot and killed. And we know the residents of this block have already experienced too much violence. And we want to work with you and every agency of our government to bring justice to this family and to prevent any further violence in this community. So while we're working to do even more on the law enforcement side, we are also constantly putting resources toward opportunities and the opportunity side as well. Just this morning, we worked on a new program for returning citizens in our community that helps them get jobs in the legal field. So today we're asking two things. We need any person with any information about young Mr. Williams' homicide to come forward. You can come forward anonymously and provide the police with any information. And we are also asking for everybody and all of our community service providers as well to be in contact with the many programs and services that we offer residents of the District of Columbia to get good paying jobs and live the life that we are all called to live. So with that, I'm going to ask the Chief to provide any specifics, any more specific information, and then I'm going to ask all the members of my team and the NOMA BID and the NOMA Clean teams to join me as we begin our walk.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Just to provide a little context to what the mayor said, yesterday about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, broad daylight, we got a call to the 100 block of M Street, which is just south of here, for an adult male that was shot in the block. Our investigation shows that a suspect came out of the alley across the street, trotted up to the victim in this case, pulled out an illegal firearm and fired at the victim multiple times. We have a 22-year-old young man in the prime of his life who lost his life in the daylight hours in Washington, D.C. We all have to say that that is something that we are not going to tolerate. If anybody saw anything yesterday, after the suspect shot the victim, after Devane was shot, the suspect trotted back across the street through the alley to my rear. So if anybody saw or heard anything that's consistent with that information, please give us a call. You can call us on 202-727-9099, or you can text us on 50411. We're hopeful that the community can give us some information so we can bring some closure to the family in this case. The second case that I will update you on is we had a report of a kidnapping yesterday in the 2800 block of Dumbarton Street Northwest. It was a situation where a caregiver was dropping off a 6-year-old girl. We had an adult female who grabbed the girl, and then the caretaker was able to intervene and prevented the child from being injured and prevented the child from being taken. Earlier this morning, we have a person of interest who was arrested on a separate offense. Our criminal investigators right now are working that case, and we're confident we're going to be able to bring that to a successful conclusion. So we can take any questions that anyone might have, or we can start on our walk.
Briefly, you also had a daylight homicide in the 1700 block of Benning Road. Any information on that? It was on Saturday.
We do. That was a shooting that happened in the hallway during the snowstorm this past week. It was a very horrible weather. We had a suspect in that case, several suspects, walked up into the hallway, shot multiple times into the hallway. 3 victims were struck. 2 of those victims, it was non-life-threatening injuries, and then one of those victims died later at a local hospital. We have made pretty significant progress in that particular case as well, and we anticipate bringing that to conclusion.
What about First and O? There was a killing last week there.
I'm sorry?
A 22-year-old at First and O was killed.
First and O Street, correct. Yes, we did have a homicide at First and O Street. There was in that case, there was an adult male who was we found outside of a running vehicle who had been shot at that location. In that particular case, again, we're moving closer to bringing closure in that case.
So, Chief, you've got 12 now, 5 at this time a year ago. I mean, is there any? There clearly is a spike, but is there any?
Sam, I don't think there's any indication that there's nothing other than a spike in the homicides we see. You compare last year to this year for the month of January, we have a spike. We had a spike last year in homicides. We are going to redouble our efforts to attack this gun violence that's occurring in our city. We're going to engage our federal partners to be focused on the gun violence in our city. You heard the mayor say last night, we're working towards increasing the size of the police department. All of the city agencies here in Washington, D.C. are engaged in various programs, violence interruption and the like, to ensure that we get a handle on this thing, and I'm confident we will. All right, thank you all.
Thank you, everybody. Let me get an idea. Maybe director, please.
Yeah, and they're gonna kill me because I was like.